Hello viewers, in this tutorial I am going to show you how you can use SQL Developer, a free tool from Oracle, to perform on-premise or cloud data migration. So viewers, you may be already aware of this GUI-based software from Oracle called SQL Developer, which is a very useful tool for Oracle database development and administrative activities. This tool is in place for many years now, and the best thing is it is free and it is available for most of the widely used operating systems like Windows, Linux or Mac. I have other tutorials showing how to install Oracle SQL Developer in your PC or laptop based on whether you are using Windows, Linux or Mac as your operating system. But this tutorial is to demonstrate how to migrate an Oracle database or data from on-premise to a cloud database in AWS, that is an RDS database, so I will skip the installation part. Please note that the same method that I am demonstrating here can be used for any Oracle database as source or target, indifferent of whether it is an on-premise or cloud database. If you can make a connection to the database using SQL Developer, then you can use this method almost all of the time. This method works with Oracle Database version 10G onwards and also on any cloud like AWS or OCI who is capable of hosting an Oracle database. Before I start the demonstration, I would like to mention a few key points here. Number one, this migration method is more of a data copy kind of activity. This method is good for migrating small databases up to a few hundred gigs, but beyond that, it may take a very long time and impact the network performance. This is a schema or object level migration and not a full database migration. It supports row level filter, allowing you to select which rows of the table data to copy. It is good for offline migration, meaning it works good when application or user activities are not present during migration to ensure data consistency. This is a platform independent migration, meaning source and target hardware and operating system platform can be different. You should have simultaneous connectivity to both the source and the target database from the computer where SQL Developer is running. There may be restrictions in copying long or very large CLOB data, which is more than 4,000 characters long. This is not a suggested method for a production data migration where a downtime is not allowed. If you are okay with all these points that I mentioned, then without further ado, let's begin. First, I will start the SQL Developer application in my Windows PC. The SQL Developer version that I am using here is version 21.4.1. Then I will connect to my source database named catdb as sysuser. You may use any user with proper privilege or preferably with a DBA privilege. This is an Oracle 19.3 database and hosted in a 64-bit Linux 7.9 server. You may use any connection method like TNS or EasyConnect or LDAP, etc. The method I am using here is the default method, that is using the host name, port and the service name using TCP connection protocol. My candidate data to be migrated is in a schema called testmig. Let's scroll down and expand this other users item under the catdb database, and in this list at the bottom we have this testmig schema. If I expand this, we see all the objects that belong to this schema. So we have tables. There is just one table currently. There are views, indexes, and also some packages, procedures, functions, etc. Now let's execute this query to find out what objects are present in this testmig schema. So I'm using this query, select object type count star from DBA objects, where owner equals to testmig, group by object type, order by object type. And in the output, we can see that it has one function, two indexes, one procedure, one sequence, one synonym, one table, and a view. Now let's take a look at the only table that this test mix schema has, that is the employee table. And we can see that it has just 12 records, which is enough for our demonstration purpose. Now let's move to the actual data migration activity. To do that, we have to make a connection to our target database. This CatDB, which I am connected using sysuser, is the source database, and I have an RDS database called test RDS, which I am going to connect, which is going to be our target database in AWS. And the connection has been established. I just want to show you the connection parameters here. And here also I am using the default connection mechanism using the hostname, port, and the SID of the database. And the default TCP/IP connection is established using the admin user. Now I have two simultaneous connections to the source database and the target database. Now we will go to the tools menu, and under that go to the database copy. And in this screen we have to select the source connection and the destination connection. In the source connection, I'll select the database named CatDB, where I have already connected using sysuser, and the destination or the target database will be our RDS database named test RDS that we already connected. Now in the next section here, under the copy options, we have a couple of options available. If you select the object copy option, then you can select different objects like tables, views, procedures, etc. from the schema or the current user connected to the source database. If you select schemas copy option, this is in fact the mostly used option, then again you have two options under it. First option, maintain schemas, where you will get the option to select the users or the schemas in the source database from where you want to select the objects. If you use this option, then you have to pre-create the target schema or the schemas in the target database where the data will be copied to with the same name as the source. If you select the second option, that is consolidate schemas, then all the source schemas with their selected objects will be copied to the target database under the schema or the user with which you are currently connected to the target database. The third option, that is the tablespace copy, is little restrictive. It allows only a few objects like tables, indexes, materialized views, etc. For this method to work, whatever objects you are selecting to copy, you have to pre-create the owner schemas of those objects in the target database with the same name and level of privileges or grants as in the source database. We will use the schemas copy option, and under that, the maintain schemas option here in this demonstration. As I mentioned, if you use this first option, you have to pre-create the target schema in the target database. So I will temporarily cancel this window so that I can go ahead and create the target schema in the test RDS database. So I have the script already available, which I use to create the test mix schema in the source database. I simply copied all the DDLs that I used to create this schema and granting the privileges here, and I will simply execute it. And this test mix schema in the target database has been successfully created with the required privileges. Now we'll go back to our tools menu again to select the database copy option. And here again I'll select the source database as CatDB and the target database as test RDS. Then select the second option, schemas copy, and under that maintain schemas. Copy DDL option. This is important because whatever objects we are going to copy, it will copy the DDL of that object from the source database, and it will use that DDL to create the target object before it copies the data, or any other objects like sequence, views, procedures, functions, etc. And under that, do not replace existing destination objects. Based on your requirement, you can select either this one or replace existing destination objects this second one. So I'm selecting do not replace. It doesn't matter because already our target schema is blank, so it's not going to replace anything. Then we will check this ignore storage partitioning and table space option. It means if in your target database the target schema is using a different type of storage or partitioning options or table space, etc., it will simply ignore it and it will simply copy all the data. Then in the third section, copy data, it says truncate destination before copying. If there is an existing object with the same name, say a table is already there in the target schema, whether you want to truncate that table before copying the source data or not, this option will provide you that option. I am not selecting this option. Anyway, it doesn't matter because in the target database, currently there is nothing. If you do not select this option, and if your target table has certain data, then the new data from the source database will be simply appended to the table without deleting the old data. Then press the next button. And here it is giving us all the standard objects that it used to copy. I am selecting all of them. And if there is any object which is selected here is actually not present in the source schema, it will simply ignore it. Click next. Now this is important. In this screen we have to select actually which schema we are going to copy, because our candidate schema is test mig here. So we will select this here in this list and click on this right arrow so that this test mig schema is our schema to be copied to the target database. Then click next. In this screen we can specify the objects that we want to actually copy. If you want to see which are the objects that it is going to copy, click on this lookup button and it will give us all the available objects. So I will select all of these together and click on this double arrow button so that all of the objects are available in the right hand side pane. Click on the next button. Specify data. This screen actually gives us the option to filter out certain records from the table or views that we are selecting in our migration. By default, it will select everything, and it is also giving us some options here. Our table called employee, by default it is selecting all the columns and all the records. If you want, you can modify this option here by clicking on this pencil icon, and from here you can unselect any of the columns which you don't want to copy. Say if you don't want to copy the salary column, you can uncheck this checkbox. I am selecting everything, so I am not setting this option here. Similarly, in this second object where it is actually giving you an option to select or filter the records that you want to copy, click on this pencil icon, and here by default it is selecting all the records of the employee table. Now there are two options here, global where and object where. Global where will be a filter criteria which will be applied to all the tables or views that you are going to copy. And if you want to apply that filter only on this particular table, then you can specify that in this object where option. So I want to select only the employees who have salary less than 10,000, then I can put this filter here, salary less than 10,000, and refresh it, and it will select only those employees with salary less than 10,000. So I'll not put any filters here, I'll remove it so that our data copy or data migration will be a full data migration without any filters. Now click next, and it's a summary page. Whatever options we have selected so far, a summary of everything will be given here, like which is the source database, what is the target database, and what options we have selected under the copy options, etc. You can take a look here if you want to double check if everything is alright. Then click on the finish button. Based on your selection and also your network speed, this activity can take from a few minutes to many hours. And once the activity is completed, in our case it took just a few seconds, it will give a summary of everything it has performed. And now we will go to our target database and take a look at the outcome of the migration. Using this first query, we'll see whether this test mig schema has the objects, and we can see that now it has everything that was also there in the source database, that is one function, 2 indexes, 1 procedure, 1 sequence, 1 table, and 1 view. And let's take a look at the table that it has copied using the select star from testmig.employee. And we see exactly all the 12 records have been copied from the source database to the target database. So this is how we can use this free tool from Oracle Corporation to do our small migration activities from on-premise to on-premise, or on-premise to cloud, or cloud to on-premise. Only thing is, as I mentioned before, it is not recommended for production migrations. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.